talk about Tommoso Ciampa. Yes, Tommoso Ciampa is in the news, and from what it looks like, Tommoso Ciampa is no longer with WWE. Yes, Tommoso Ciampa is no longer with World Wrestling Entertainment as his contract officially came to an end. He actually tweeted this out January 21st at 8:45 a.m., roughly in the beginning of the morning. And he tweeted this out, and I quote, and I'm going to pull up the image over here. In the very near future, my WWE contract, or my contract with the WWE, will officially come to an end. I'd like to thank every single person who contributed to the last 10 years of this incredible journey. Camera crew, ring crew, hair and makeup team, steam stresses, referee, creative, producers, catering crew, commentators, ring announcers, travel department, medical team, talent reps, and anybody I may have missed. A very special thank you to all of the men and women who I've shared a ring and locker room with. Nothing but love and respect. And I would be remiss not to give a special thank you to my black and gold family. You will forever hold an incredible special place in my heart. To the fans who have shown love and support over the last 2 decades, thank you from the bottom of my heart. To my wife and daughter, you are my rock and my forever. Why? I love you more. I spent the first decade of my career traveling the world on the independent scene. I spent the second decade of my career traveling the world with WWE. I have 1 decade remaining, and I'm beyond excited for whatever challenges lie ahead. I'm an incredibly lucky person, one of the few who has spent his entire adult life living out his childhood dream. And while that dream continues to evolve, I will continue to chase it. With that said, for the first time in over 10 years, I'm available for all appearances, signings, photo ops, seminars, movies, TV appearances, fitness collaborations, sponsorships, and so forth. Please email any inquiries to bookchampa@gmail.com. Okay. Tommoso Ciampa. Yes, Tommoso Ciampa looks to be gone from World Wrestling Entertainment. This is, in a way, kind of a shocking one because, he was recently, a part of DIY with Johnny Gargano. And it's crazy to think, man. Tommoso Ciampa, he was basically, 100% a Triple H guy. 100% a Triple H guy. And Tommoso Ciampa just left. He let his contract run out and is gone. Did they make any offers to Tommoso Ciampa as his contract was running out? We have absolutely no idea. But it's very weird that Triple H is at the helm and he just let Tommoso Ciampa go. Or was this the decision that was made by Tommoso Ciampa? From observing what is going on here, I'm going to say the same thing about Tommoso Ciampa that I said about Powerhouse Hobbs on last week's show. There was a ceiling for Tommoso Ciampa on the main roster. There was a ceiling for Tommoso Ciampa on the main roster. And from where he was going from a creative standpoint, he was not going to get pushed to the main event scene. If you compare the Tommoso Ciampa that we saw as a part of DIY compared to the Tommoso Ciampa that we saw after he turned on Johnny Gargano at NXT all those years ago and turned into one of the best heels in the business during that period of time. I mean, the Tommoso Ciampa of then compared to the Tommoso Ciampa of now is a completely different Tommoso Ciampa. It is. It's not the same Tommoso Ciampa that we saw after he initially split from Johnny Gargano when, of course, he turned on him at that NXT takeover. I don't recall what takeover it was, but the Johnny Gargano and Tommoso Ciampa feud was one of the greatest NXT feuds of all time. That was when Black and Gold NXT was at its peak. And then he gets called up to the main roster. They paired him with Miz. I mean, they did Tommoso Ciampa dirty. I'm going to be brutally honest with you guys. They did Tommoso Ciampa really, really, really. Imagine pairing Tommoso Ciampa with The Miz. No disrespect towards The Miz, but imagine pairing Tommoso Ciampa, who was one of the best heels of the modern era, and you paired him with The Miz. Look, I think The Miz is an amazing heel. He's a fantastic heel, but he's The Miz. He's The Miz. And if you compare the heel tactics that the Miz does compared to the heel tactics that Tommaso Ciampa did in NXT, it's like night and day. It's like night and day. But there was a ceiling for Tommaso Ciampa on the main roster, regardless who was running the main roster, whether that was Vince McMahon or Triple H. There was a ceiling for Tommaso Ciampa, and there was a ceiling for a lot of the OG black and gold NXT talents. Now there was a couple few black and gold NXT wrestlers that really transcended to like superstardom. Like Rhea Ripley is off the top of my head. Rhea Ripley nowadays is a freaking megastar. She's huge. She's huge. But guys like Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, those guys, nothing really there. Remember when Johnny Gargano came back a couple years ago? And this was roughly when Triple H just started to get the book in the summer of 2022 and Johnny Gargano came back. Everybody was hyped around Johnny Gargano, but let's be honest, what has Johnny Gargano done besides being a part of DIY? The best thing, in my opinion, that Johnny Gargano has done as of recently was that TLC match on that SmackDown last year. That was easily the best thing that DIY has done, in my opinion. One of the most memorable matches in SmackDown in recent memory. That TLC match was fantastic. Amazing. But again, there was a ceiling for those guys. There just was, unfortunately. Now the question arises, where is Tommaso Ciampa going to go? Is he going to go to AEW? Is he going to go to TNA? Is he going to work the indies? We have absolutely no idea now. In the message that Tommaso Ciampa has put out a couple days ago, he flat out stated he has one more decade left before he's officially going to be hanging up the boots. So, what is Tommaso Ciampa going to do? Some people were pointing out AEW. AEW sounds like a great option for him, but at the same time, what is he going to do? Because again, the AEW roster is already like packed. It's full. It's full of talent. And a lot of those talents are getting lost in the shuffle. You're either getting put into the Don Callis family or you're getting lost in the shuffle. You think Tommaso Ciampa is going to fit well with the Don Callis family? I don't think so. But at the same time, AEW pays tremendously well. And if you compare the amount of money that AEW pays to its wrestlers compared to the amount of money that TNA pays to its wrestlers, now granted, budgetary reasons, there's a certain reason behind it. I mean, AEW has more capital than TNA does, but you think with the amount of money that Tommaso Ciampa is making on the main roster, which we have no idea how much he's making, you think he's probably going to make that exact same amount of money in TNA? I don't know. I may be totally wrong. But he may go to AEW, but TNA is not a bad option. I'm going to be honest. I said my fair share of about TNA last week, and I'm going to be saying my fair share of TNA on this show as well. But there's really, TNA is not a bad option for somebody like Tommaso Ciampa. It's not a bad option for him. He can really remold himself as to what he used to be in NXT in TNA. He can very well do that. But we're going to have to wait and see what he does. Again, there was a ceiling for him on the main roster. And the main roster was an area where he was never going to go anywhere. Regardless of who had the book, he was never going to go anywhere. Regardless if he was paired with Johnny Gargano as a part of DIY or as a singles act. He was never going to really be more than what he is capable of being. That's just my opinion. There was a ceiling for him. There was a ceiling for Tommaso Ciampa. Just like there was a ceiling for Powerhouse Hobbs in AEW. So we're going to have to wait and see where Tommaso Ciampa is going to be going. But my best bet, I probably think he's going to go to AEW. But if he goes to TNA, good on him. Because he's betting on himself. And doesn't matter what promotion you go to. Look, across all three promotions, WWE, AEW, and TNA, some talent fit better in other places than other talents. Some people fit well in WWE, some people don't. Some people fit well in AEW, some people don't. Some people fit well in TNA, some people don't. So we're going to have to wait and see what Tommaso Ciampa does, but that's the latest on Tommaso Ciampa. Actually, No, we got more information on Tommaso Ciampa. I almost forgot. I forgot to mention New Japan. There's an update regarding what could be next for the two-time NXT champion. Ciampa recently confirmed that his WWE contract is set to expire and he will not be re-signing with the company, making him a free agent for the first time in a decade. Dave Meltzer addressed Ciampa on Friday's edition of Wrestling Observer newsletter, noting that if there is talk of him possibly going to New Japan Pro Wrestling, there is talk of him trying to get into New Japan. He'd fit in style-wise with AEW, but AEW has such a large roster filled with top talent. It's a tough place to break through. And what did I say a couple moments ago? I said the exact same thing. The fact that he's pushing indie bookings would seem to indicate that he didn't leave for AEW and a deal there, but it wouldn't surprise me to see such a deal happening, given Tony Khan signing so many people, and he has a strong in-ring wrestler. Ciampa has filed for 2 trademarks potentially linked to his post-WWE career. He has filed a trademark for Psycho Killer and Psycho King. For wrestling purposes, the former a reference to the Talking Head song he often used for his ring entrance before joining WWE. Ciampa confirmed his WWE departure in a statement released on January 3rd. I spent the first decade of my career traveling the world on the independent scene. I spent the second decade of my career traveling the world with WWE. I have 1 decade remaining, and I'm beyond excited for whatever challenges lie ahead. So yeah, New Japan could possibly be that option. Definitely makes total sense. He'd fit well in New Japan Pro Wrestling as well.